Hey, Anish, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Bonnie, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get those videos on. Oh, what's up? Uh, uh, Let me make you a co-host. There we go. Or Miza. And then you can correct me because I keep trying to say your name wrong. And I can't my head. You co-host, and then it'll let you unmute yourself. Let me see. Give me 1 second. All right, there you go.
All right. Hi, how are you? Good
Glad
to
you're
see you
here.
guys. Hi, my name is Mia. Good to see you all.
It's Mia. See, I keep saying Mie. I can't get it out of my head.
And because the Japanese spelling or pronunciation is Mie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. And like I told you, I did a lot in Japan, so like my
it's
brain can't like every time I even say it and I hear you say it, like
honestly, I never pronounce or could correct anyone when they mispronounce it. They call me May, Mai, May. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Mia,
so
Mie, both work.
so do you care? Do you have a preference?
Mia is what I go by. Yeah.
Mia's
Yeah.
your preference? Okay, good. All right. Welcome everybody. Hey, as we're waiting for people to get in, I got a quick question for you. Um, Do you think, with everything going on, politics, interest rates, tariffs, you name it, that your current and future clients will become more or less to buy or sell? Genuine question. Drop it in the chat. Let me know if you think, just with everything going on in the world, they're going to be more or less hesitant to buy or sell. And if you want, you can even share a little bit about, why you think that. Bonnie, you don't think either way? You think they're kind of just going to kind of stay a little bit level? Whatever they were going to do, they're going to do it regardless. Oh, okay. I would say then that would make them more hesitant, right? More hesitant then if affordability is an issue. Let's see. Fear makes most people play it safe. I know exactly what you're saying, and I know we say that. You know what's funny is fear doesn't make us play it safe. Fear just makes us play it differently. Like it doesn't make it play it safe because oftentimes fear actually makes us do very irrational things that are actually destructive. So definitely not correcting you, Heidi. It's just when I read that, my brain was like, what's funny is that I say that too. It's like, oh, I'm just playing it safe, and I'm like, is that actually the safer option, or is it just the one that feels more comfortable or more secure, which is not always safe, right? There's a lot of people who have made decisions playing it comfortable, playing it well, made them feel good, but it necessarily wasn't a good decision. It's kind of funny, actually. Um, because we're going to be talking about that today in a way. It's gonna, yeah, yeah, this is fun. Let's see, Kathy. They have been more hesitant, but things has started improving, and I think they're getting less hesitant. Okay, ooh, I like that. I like that. A niche possibly depends on how desperate they are. I mean, listen, desperation is definitely something that will push people. All right. I feel like May, right? No. Yes. No. I'm.
Mia.
I can't. I can't get it out of my
You're gonna get there. I,
head.
I believe in you.
Oh, Mia, Mia.
Like Mia
Cover your
Hamm.
name title.
Huh?
I need to cover your name title, so I stopped reading it.
Yeah, no, honestly, May is fine. You can call me either.
It's just you correct me. You know how it is. You have to hear it and say it a bunch of times
Yeah,
until you finally make it a habit.
that's funny.
Oh, guys, it's 5 after. You know that we are very mindful of time. I'm so glad you're here. For those who just came in, I know we have people we're still admitting. The question is, do you think with everything going on, politics, interest rates, tariffs, all of that, are your current and future clients going to become more or less hesitant to buy or sell? Right. And we actually do have a range of questions or answers here, and I really like it. So drop it in the chat. And then I kind of like move into a kind of follow up question. is are you ready to handle their objections? I'm not talking about the easy objections. I'm talking about the real life, deep rooted, fear driven, right? We talked about fear already in the chat, fear driven objections that a simple market report isn't gonna do anything, right? And let me give you a couple examples, right? These are ones that I took from agents that we've been that I've been working with for a long time, and I've been watching some of the objections that are coming up, and I've been watching the ones that I'm seeing a lot of agents with different backgrounds and experiences actually struggle to answer confidently. Not that they can't answer it. Most of us can come up with some sort of answer, but we can't really work through it. So we heard a recession is coming, so we're going to wait and see what happens. Rates are still too high. We're going to wait till they drop. I just saw on the news that home prices are falling. We think we can get a better rate if you're an LO. I know LOs, you guys come to the calls, or a lower commission for agents with someone else. My friend said, I got this one recently actually. My friend said inventory is increasing soon, so we'll wait to have more options. Let's just submit and see what happens. Lowball offers. Oh my goodness. I'm actually seeing more of those too coming up. I don't know where that's coming from. Very interesting. Or this one that drives us all absolutely insane is sorry, I didn't sign the paperwork, submit the docs, whatever. I've just been super busy. As if they're not in contract or have things to do. I've just been super busy. So the list goes on. You guys know that, right? Anybody relate to any of these, by the way? Like raise your hand, get those videos on, raise your hand if you can relate to that at all. Have you seen any form of these objections going on? For me, I'm seeing all of them. All of them. In markets, I work in Canada too. I'm seeing it in Canada. And in Canada, by the way, they have it way harder than us, just so you know. Way harder. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started on Canadian mortgages. So listen, this is for you. If you'd rather guide clients naturally towards smart decisions instead of fighting them and forcing it. Maybe you want to handle objections so smoothly, clients don't even realize they're agreeing. It's a great thing, by the way. Or you don't want to lose another commission check because your clients want to do it their way or not do it at all, even when it's in their best interest. Notice the emphasis there, their best interest. Or you just understand people trust their own conclusions way more than yours. It's the truth. It doesn't matter how smart, educated, it doesn't matter how data backed you are. People trust themselves. And I think we live in a world where we are more skeptical. I think the access to information has actually made us more skeptical of everyone and everything. So listen, 4 conditions for being on the call, guys. We take these calls very seriously. And look at that. Some of you are already dropping those videos. You know what's coming. So video on. This is important. We are a community. We're not blank screens. Distractions off. You didn't show up here today to be distracted. That would be silly. You didn't jump into this call being like, hey, I'm here just to be distracted the whole time. No, we're going to deliver some value. So let's focus and really, really tune in. And speaking of tuning in, we participate. This is a highly engaging, highly interactive call. You will be doing things the entire time that you're on the call, right? And if you're not doing them, you're going to miss out. And then most importantly is go make someone's day. You're going to learn something today without a doubt. Go share it with someone else. Just like you are receiving this for free today to bless you, go bless someone else and make our industry a little bit better. All right. And then I have a small favor. I do these free for you guys. I send the newsletters on Fridays. I put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this. The best way you can help me, entirely free, is open the emails. Seriously, open the emails, click every link. Yes, even the ads. You don't need to buy anything. That helps with my delivery rates. That helps with my open rates. And it's a huge blessing that costs you nothing and takes about 30 seconds. That would be amazing and grateful, and I'd appreciate it. All right. So now let's talk about the clients who don't listen problem. Okay. Most agents and LOs accidentally make clients resist good decisions. Think about that for a second. Resist good decisions. Anybody have kids? as parents, we often unintentionally make our children actually want to resist good intentions because we're skipping steps and trying to get immediately to results. And it just doesn't work that way, right? And why does this happen? Well, see, clients resist good advice because we tend to either immediately jump to solutions, which makes them feel ignored, argue logically, which, by the way, logic never changes feelings. Never. It just never has, guys. Okay. I wish it would. Come on now. It'd be so easy to just be like, oh, that's logical. And feelings are gone. Right. Or we just skip listening altogether because we're just waiting for our turn to say what we want to say. Okay. And everybody knows that. You all have had relationships like that. Right. So you ever tried arguing someone out of their feelings? How'd that go? Seriously, how'd that go? You ever try to argue someone out of how they're feeling? It gets worse, does it not? It always gets worse. Always. And that's probably why you've experienced leads that always seem to have an excuse for not doing what they need to do, or even in extreme cases, sabotaging their own deals, right? So every time a lead or a client avoids making good, emphasize the word good, good real estate decisions, you don't get paid, even if you did the work. That's why today is so important. Okay? That is why. Mia, haha, right?
Nailed it.
Yes. Mia is here today, and that is why you're going to want to listen. Because if you do not know how to handle these things in the right way, you won't be able to provide for your family through real estate. That is the ultimate thing that this boils down to. And can we all agree that we don't want that outcome? We want to be able to provide for our families through the work that we do. And in turn, bless these people that we work with. So let's talk about someone who gets that. Mia. So Mia coaches some of the top agents and teams out there. And guess what? Even though they also have a million excuses too, right? And let me tell you, the caliber of someone being able to, at those levels, being able to argue their excuses, the excuses sound way more valid because the excuse isn't anymore. And me, I want you to tell me if I'm correct with this too. I know from my experience, but I want you to jump in and tell me if I'm correct with this. The excuses aren't as black and white and obvious. For instance, it's not a, oh, I should do the work or I should binge watch Netflix.
Mhm.
It's, I have two really important things to do. And excuses get in the way, emotions get in the way of knowing what's the most important thing to do in that moment. Would you agree a little bit on that one?
Yeah, and I wouldn't boil it down to, well, I would probably use different language. I wouldn't say excuses.
That's fair.
Okay, so because what I find is it's not that you don't know what to do and you don't know always, not necessarily, it's not that you don't know how to do it. There's something getting in the way. And usually if there's any sort of overwhelm, resistance, fear of outcomes, whether it's success or failure, that's emotional dysregulation. And so, yeah, when you get to
Mm,
that space, you're going to default to what you can handle, what you can cope with, what's going to give you that, flood of endorphins or that boost of dopamine in the moment. And so it's less an excuse and more of an extension of programming.
I love that. Guys, seriously, this is a lesson for me too. Like when I brought Mia on my podcast for the first time, right in the call, we were working on the language. We were working on things in me. So really take this in and allow yourself to be vulnerable here and allow yourself to think differently about what you're saying and how you can say it in a more constructive or at the very least more accurate way, right? So remember, our job is not to convince anyone. We're there to help them slow down, think clearly, and figure it out in a way on their own. I meant to put those in quotation marks. It's never on your own, but in a way, it needs to feel like it's on their own. And so we can actually get paid because we really do need to take care of our families, but we need to do it the right way. Okay. So Mia did this through a multitude. I just skipped a slide through anchoring, mirror labeling, and anchoring. And those are the exercises we're actually going to get in today. So I'm going to skip ahead. But I do have one question for you, quick, Mia, before we get into all this. What was the moment when it hit you that you needed to change the way you communicated with clients? Like, what was that big moment where you're like, yeah, this is the way I'm talking isn't working.
It wasn't in a real estate moment. It was in a conversation with my baby sister. And it was understanding the unintentional harm I was causing by trying to tell her all the things that she should do instead of giving her space to be autonomous in her decisions and like asking questions about what she should think she should do. And she walked into the same outcome I would have suggested by just asking some questions.
Mm, dang. Anybody relate to that? I know for me, guilty, especially with my wife. That is a big
We
thing
talked
that I've
about
been
that,
learning
yeah.
through. It's a big one. It's a big one for me to be working through.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, guys. So why you should care about what I call the good choices client. Because literally, we just want to help them make good choices, right? That's the truth. So clients feel genuinely heard and understood, maybe for the first time ever, by the way.
Mhm.
Don't understate how big of an impact this can have on someone's life. Conversations shift from you versus the client to working together towards the right solution. More trust means fewer objections, quicker decisions, and smoother deals. And that's life in general, by the way. Clients become more decisive, confident, and cooperative, making your job and life way easier. Remember, most of our headaches that come from things like on the surface level is just people not cooperating, right? And the bonus of all this is that this will make every relationship you have better. Spouse, kids, friends, clients, strangers, everyone around you, including yourself. Okay. Because this isn't about talking clients out of their feelings. It's about helping them reason through those feelings and guiding them toward a decision they genuinely feel good about. Okay. So let's get into step one. It's time to actually do some work and work through this. So listen like you mean it. So now we're going to talk about how to listen. And I mean, really listen. Okay. To where clients know without a doubt you heard them. So we have two options. Mia and I were going over these. So one is you just listen to the client's objections, right? And we're going to do a role play in a little bit where Mia and I actually will actually go through this for you so you can hear what it's like in sequence. But option number one is again, you just listen to the client's objections. For instance, they say interest rates are too high. Anybody hear that one before? Pretty common, right? Then you're going to reflect the client's exact concern back to them clearly. So you feel uncertain about interest rates. Pretty easy. Everybody got that? Pretty clear? Mia, do you have anything on option number one that you want to add in just right here? Obviously, we have our other steps that we're going to go through, but just any notes to add right there?
Yeah, when you're labeling when you're saying something like where you're repeating back about interest rates being too high, I'm trying to define what it is they might be feeling in the moment and what they're really saying. And so that's when I label it back to them, I'm trying to say or understand what is it that they are actually saying, and that's what I want to label back to them. So if they're saying interest rates are too high, I love that you went with uncertainty there, but it could also be something fear-based. You know, it sounds like you're worried about interest rates being too high. It sounds like you're worried about potentially paying more money than you need to. And so it's just trying to understand the core of what they're saying.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So then option number two is slightly different. It's just to label exactly their emotions, right? So it sounds like, and it's very similar in the way that we do it. So we have, I meant to label these, the different options and what we actually call them when we were doing our strategy call, right? So then
Well, option one would be closer to mirroring. Yeah, option
mirroring
two, yeah, what you've got is labeling that. Yeah, that's
and
perfect.
then label their emotion clearly. It sounds like you're feeling concerned about interest rates.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah, so let me address
please.
the difference
I'm
between
not,
those two. Okay.
yes,
So mirroring is literally just repeating whatever it is they're saying. Labeling is a more difficult skill set to learn. Mirroring is an entryway to that. It's a gateway conditioning. So if someone says, I'm worried about interest rates, or like if we put this into a real life situation, like, oh, I had such a hard day at work today. Mirroring would be like, you had a hard day at work today, or with the interest rates, the interest rates are too high. So it's literally just repeating back what they said. Labeling is taking that a step further and trying to understand what the underlying meaning is. So if someone said, "Man, today was so hard," it sounds like you feel a little bit exhausted by what happened, or
Mm,
it sounds like you're feeling pretty tired by that, or it sounds like you're struggling with that. So labeling is saying, trying to figure out what it is they're saying with that one sentence.
perfect. Yes. I will make a note to correct that first slide of the labeling instead of mirroring and labeling. So thank you. So
Yeah.
guys, are you clear on that though when it comes to the difference? Because obviously the slides were not quite accurate. What the difference is between mirroring and labeling? Give me a thumbs up. Turn on those videos, by the way. Some of you turned off your videos. Get those videos back on, please, and give me a thumbs up if you understand what that meant and the difference. Okay, good. Awesome. All right. So now we're just going to do a quick exercise. I want you to repeat after me. It sounds like you're feeling concerned about interest rates. I didn't hear you, Jody. Obviously, I can't hear you because you're muted. I didn't see you. And the reason why we're doing this is I want you to actually get used to actually saying this, not just ingesting it and then never saying it again. Okay. This is very, very important. We're going to start working through these exercises. All right. And Mia, for you, why is mirroring and labeling the first step in helping clients make good decisions? Why is this such an important first step?
It's our baseline need as human beings. We highly value being heard and understood. And even just to repeat back to what someone said by mirroring, or if you're able to take it a step further with labeling, it's highly validating. And we need that to get emotional safety and to pull us out of dysregulation if we happen to be there. And so by saying, by labeling back to them or mirroring back to them, it's just holding space to say, yeah, I'm going to validate that. And someone said that already. Bonnie said validating, and she was right.
Mm-hmm. Spot on, Bonnie. You know. But if I'm being honest, guys, I struggle with listening. I'm just being real with you here, okay? I struggle with listening. I interrupt, not to be rude, but because I have something to say or I want to quickly correct something in a good way, right? Like maybe a client is saying something and it's not correct, right? Their perception, their view, their data's, and I just want to jump in and help. Hey, I'm going to interrupt you because that's the wrong way of thinking, right? I'm just being honest with you. That's the wrong way of thinking, right? And so when me and I were talking about this, I said, listen, I struggle with these things. I think most of us, right, we struggle with this. We come from a genuine place, but how we kind of execute that makes it come across as disingenuous, that we don't care, that we're not listening, we don't want to mirror, or more importantly, I think the ultimate goal is get to labeling, right? Because that's the deeper thing. So then this is what we do, guys. Step two, how to stop talking. Okay. And this is an awesome one. And actually, you don't know this, but Mia's doing it right now.
Mhm.
She's doing it right now. Everybody look at Mia right now. She is actually doing something that we're going to go through right now to help herself from prevent herself from interrupting and instead being present and listening. Okay? You guys ready for this? Anyone want to take a guess what she's doing? Actually, this is fun. What do you think she's doing right now to help herself to prevent her from interrupting and to not be present, but rather just to listen? Take some guesses. Drop them in the chat. I want to know. I want to know. I actually love that I know this because it's just so cool to see it in action.
I didn't even realize I was doing it when because yeah, it's such a yeah.
Bonnie breathing.
Like,
Well, listen, I think most of us are breathing. So, no, it's just teasing.
oh,
I know,
I
Bonnie.
see
I had
what
to
you
tease
mean.
you
Yeah.
there. Jotting down what she wants to say. I struggle taking notes and actually listening to people. So, usually I have to tell them to pause. So, for me, I don't know. Smiling, I like that. All right, let's do it. You guys ready? We're going to do this together. This is so much fun and it's so easy and it works. All right, so literally, we're going to pause. That's step one. Okay? We're just going to pause. Step two, right? We're going to take your left hand. Let me see everybody's left hand. You guys should know your left from right too. It should be opposite me, right? Right? And you're going to put it over your right bicep. Okay? And you take your hand, put it in the shh position. Okay? Now, notice how Mia makes it her own way.
Yeah, it's just evolved to this now. But it used to be I would just sit back and put my finger over my mouth. Yeah, now it's this where it's over my chin. It's a physical anchor to remind yourself to just listen.
And that's literally what step two is. Step two is anchoring. And then you hold the silence for at least 30 seconds to allow them to actually say what they need to say, and you listen. Because most of us, we aren't even consciously aware when we start interrupting. Emotions from within overtake. There's no filter, there's nothing blocking it. And so, literally, what Mia did is said, I'm going to block my lips from opening so that I can be present and actually listen. And that's something I've been working on too, right? Especially again with my wife, because my marriage is the most important relationship that I have in this world. So is really just going, okay, I'm going to listen. So
Have you
that
noticed a
will
difference
be,
when you're doing that, Robert?
yes, go ahead.
Have you noticed a difference when you're
Oh,
doing that?
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Can I elaborate on this slide for just a second?
Please do.
When one thing that we do, especially when we're in a situation where we are, for lack of a better term, selling ourselves. We're in a dynamic where, we're with the client, we're working towards emotional proximity, we're working towards rapport, we're looking towards agreement, whatever, the case may be, there's a power dynamic shift, right? We're trying to earn something with them. And so if, putting ourselves in that dynamic, for one, is vulnerable. And for two, can come with the high potential of rejection, which is another, is almost certainly for most of us, going to put us into that dysregulated state, that emotionally dysregulated state. So that over talking, when you're finishing their sentences in your head, when you're trying to, or unintentionally interrupting to have the next thing to say, or waiting for your turn to talk, more often than not, that's a compensatory behavior. More often than not, it's you either trying to hold their boundaries for them by making them feel more comfortable by filling in the space. It's you trying to help them or see that you understand what they're saying, or that you guys are on the same page. It can be lack of confidence. That's what a compensatory behavior would be. Yeah, like it's compensation. It's overcompensating for whatever you might be feeling in the moment. I think to like give it a broad sweeping of like lack of confidence, I'd say that you could generalize it with that, but it's absolutely, I would say, like a symptom. And so the more you practice holding the silence, the more confident you will become in the uncomfortable, awkward silence. You'll shift the power dynamic significantly. But when you are reminding yourself to be quiet and not waiting for your space, it's not a personality default. And that's what I want to just make sure that I convey, is that it's not something wrong with you. It is just it's a learned behavior.
This is powerful. All right. Now, congrats. You just created an anchor, right? That's what we worked on. Now, you can find your own, right? You can absolutely find your own. It's very, very important that you do, right? But it is important that you have something in some form or another that will allow you to have this kind of physical barrier just to give you a check, just to keep you in check. Okay? That's all it is. It's just a little protective measure. All right. So, how has it been beneficial to allow them to speak when we're the experts? So, right, my brain would constantly rationalize this and say, listen, if I let them speak, and they're saying things that are wrong, I'm the expert. Letting them speak to me is like being destructive. So how is this not like, how is this a good thing to allow someone to express things even if they're wrong? That's for you, man. Let me know. Like, how is it a good thing to, when I'm the expert,
Hmm.
right? I'm the expert. How is it a good thing to just let someone who's not the expert say whatever they want to say?
Well, I mentioned earlier that we have this like deep need to be heard and understood. That's a core value for us. But also, and you mentioned it in the slides earlier, you cannot talk people out of how they feel. You cannot talk people out of how they feel. It is you might get agreement, you might get submission, but you're not going to get, in most cases, true heart change. Like and I say this like jokingly, but have you ever, or do you know someone that's a total ask hole? They'll ask questions and never take your advice, and they'll take your time for a really long time, and then you'll say, here's all the things you need to do, and then they don't execute on it, even though it would be in their best interest to do so. And it's because that decision making, that internal change isn't going to come from being convinced. And so I've got to be able to walk that out. I've got to be able to work it out. I've got to feel like I have autonomy in that dynamic in order for me to be able to achieve that same agreement. Truly, like for that to shift inside of me, I've got to get myself there.
Powerful. Very, very powerful. All right, guys, it's discovery time. Okay. This is where we're going to guide you through, or rather, where you start to guide them through making the good decisions. So, just to recap real quick how far we've come along, okay? Is first, we've learned about mirroring, right? And it's literally just saying the same thing back to them, sometimes with a slight inflection at the end so you don't sound like a robot, right? Have some emotion behind it. We talked a little bit about labeling, and that's like the deeper level. That's once you get used to mirroring, you're going to move into labeling, which is identifying kind of the underlying emotional concern, right? Then we moved into anchoring, which is a literal physical protection to help you get better at just listening. Just listening, that's all it is. Now we need to get into the guiding questions. How do we actually put some guardrails up and make the conversation productive and steer towards a certain direction? Right? Okay. So here we go. You're going to ask a question that guides them toward clarity. So, for instance, let me give you a great example. These all comes from. I almost did it, Mia. I almost did it. It's because I read the screen. So, remember the original question, right? The concern around interest rates. Okay. If interest rates weren't an issue, would this home meet your needs? Everybody hear that? Okay. Think about what we just asked there. Is actually very deep, very constructive and purpose driven, not dismissive either. You're saying, oh, okay, if that thing that you're struggling with, concerned about, worried over, wasn't an issue, then would the immediate thing right in front of us, the actual thing we're trying to accomplish in this moment, be applicable to you? So a lot just happened in that. That's a guiding question. We're just trying to get some clarity, and our questions help them get clarity. Because a lot of times, guys, you'll have a client. Anybody have a client who had a home that checked all their boxes and they still said no? And you're like, are you I am going to lose it. This checks every freaking box. And you said no. Guess what? That means that there is something there that is not allowing them to see it clearly. Something is clouding their vision. And they're basically telling you in those moments, hey, listen, I need your help. I can't see clearly right now because something's in my way. Okay. So then you have to help them see value without pushing. So this is another way to approach it, right? These are multiple options, right? Of kind of discovery questions or guiding questions. I think that's what you call them, right, Mia? Guiding questions?
Calibrated questions.
Calibrated questions, right? So another one is, would exploring financing options make this decision easier for you? Powerful words, man. It's not, ready? Because we all do this. It's not, well, let's get you pre-approved and.
Mhm.
That's dismissive. It's going straight to results. You want them pre-approved. So one, you know whether they're a worthy client or not, as far as finances are, and you know it's the next step. So you're just trying to get right to work, which is great. I love it. You know the process, but we have to kind of phrase it and guide it a little bit differently, right? Here's another one. Or and then what you do is you just repeat these questions as necessary until they reveal their solution within the guardrails of your expert guidance. I love this, by the way. That was one of my favorite things that I
I
read
was like, I'm
about
still
this.
in that one. That's good.
Yeah, guys. So I'm going to repeat that for you so you make sure you take that in because this is actually a good summary of basically what we do in most or should be doing in most conversations, which is repeat as necessary until they reveal their solution within the guardrails of your expert guidance. Powerful. Take that in. Okay. All right. So now I want you guys to just be able to hear this in sequence all together. So because we had a bunch of broken down parts, right? And so we took one piece at a time. Now we're just going to hear it in a flow. It's only going to take about 30 seconds. Okay. And so, Mia, I guess I should have sent you this. All we're going to do is I'm going to bring you the objection
Yep.
and we'll just walk through the process.
Go for it.
Awesome. All right. So I'm just starting off. Uh, Interest rates are way too high, and I need to wait until they come back down.
It sounds like you're concerned about paying too much money.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spend too much. Yeah. I mean, it's just interest rates are too high.
And you're saying interest rates are too high because you haven't seen it like this before?
Well, I mean, a couple years ago, my buddy, he got like 3.5% on his house. So his payment is like hundreds of dollars less than what mine would be.
What do you think will happen if you wait?
Uh, I'm guessing like the economy will get better. Maybe those tariffs will kick in and we see, better rates. Rates come down.
What is your experience with timing the market?
That's powerful. I felt that one. All right, guys, we're paused there because I actually wanted you. Do you see how every one of you, I know you deeply wanted to just correct me right away. I know that you guys, because you know the truth, you know the knowledge, right? You know that there are things that I'm saying that are entirely incorrect. They're just not logically based. They're not factually based. They're totally emotionally based. But notice how she would not give in to that temptation. She didn't correct me. It's so powerful. She didn't correct me. She didn't even do statements of fact, which I'm guilty of, right? Okay. Instead, she just kept digging. Help me to really understand, and vice versa, help me to understand what my train of thought is, how I actually came to this conclusion.
Mhm.
And notice how she didn't do it in the classic cheesy way. You've probably heard people say to ask how they come to that conclusion. You don't actually say that, though. You don't actually say, how did you come to that conclusion? Because that sounds like a teacher grading a paper, right? And they're about to pass or fail. So it's very powerful. And it's actually very simple. The hardest part, guys, and that's why we have the anchor. The hardest part is often that we just won't listen. And then we can't ask the right questions when we don't listen. Imagine she just skipped right ahead every single time. I would get more and more frustrated versus her constantly affirming, right? Constantly mirroring and really more labeling my fears and concerns. So I felt heard and I expressed more than had she just said, well, actually, historically, these interest rates are just fine. Historically, if you buy right now, you'll probably be better off in 10 years. Well, that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about today, right now, my bills next month. And if this decision is going to be good or bad for that fear or concern. Right? All right. So now it's your turn, guys. We're going to do this quick and easy. I talked a little too much today. I appreciate your patience, though, because I get really excited about this and I'm still learning. It's hard for me in calls to do it because, like, I got to figure out one I can do with the microphone.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I know. Well, for angering, like, I need to do something. I talk with my hands. So, all right. So here's the breakout room. Now that you have your mirroring and labeling statements ready, you know kind of how to do those processes, right? Your anchor technique, just use the one we talked about today. Left hand over right bicep, position, right? Okay. And then clear, powerful guiding questions, right? Clear, powerful guiding questions that we just went through, and you heard Mia role play it all with me. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to write down one common objection you regularly face or you expect to face, right? For a lot of you, I'm going to assume it's probably interest rates based. That's still a really common one. I'm still hearing it all the time. Interest rates this, interest rates that. Timing the market is a big thing right now. You have people who believe that a recession is coming because they really don't like the current administration. And then you have people who love the current administration and believe that things will get better. Either way, both sides are hesitant. They have a reason why they think they should wait. So whatever your most common objection is that you're seeing or maybe struggling with, right, the most, write that one down. Then you're going to have your partner in the room. They're going to role play just like me and I did. Very simple. Notice it was not complicated at all. Very simple. You're going to respond using mirror and labeling, whichever one you're most comfortable with. If you want to go for labeling, I'm okay with that. This is a safe place for you to kind of experiment a little bit. If you're a little bit shy, fine, start with mirroring. Okay? Use your anchor and hold that silence, right? And allow them to just explain. Allow them to talk. When it seems like they're done, then you're going to ask your guiding follow-up question. Now, if you're the role play partner, make sure you don't talk too much. You're going to keep it very brief so that we have time to switch sides. Okay. So you're going to repeat this as they talk themselves into clarity. Okay. 2 minutes per conversation, then switch. We'll do 5 minutes total. Okay. So that gives you an extra spare minute. Type yes in the chat if you are ready to join the breakout rooms because I have to do them manually. This is going to be life changing. I'm telling you, it makes my marriage better. It really does. Like, forget even the business side of this. Just remember the you side of this. The people you love will literally feel more loved by you if you do this for them. This is an amazing way to honor them, to love them, to serve them by just listening. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to start assigning people. Remember, I have to do it. Man, oh, wait, did it just? Oh, just broke out everybody. Hold on. Recreate. There we go. I had to do it manually. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to say them out loud. Heidi and Carrie, let's go. Next up, we got Bonnie and Laura. And then we got Kitty. All right, we need a partner for Kitty. Who's going to help us jump in as a partner for Kitty? We need one more person. I know we got a couple people. Shane, Monica, Ty. Who's jumping in? Going to do a role play with Kitty. Drop it in the chat so I can see. Give me that yes. Two drivers. Oh my gosh, you guys better not be racing. Kathy, come on now. If not, then you get to hang out. Were you guys good with three in your group? Okay, love it, Heidi. Thank you. You're awesome. This is the attitude we do here. All right, guys, rooms are coming. Accept those invitations. Let's get role playing. In the meantime, Mia, you and I, we're gonna have a couple more questions to talk about.
Hey.
And then I am actually going to stop sharing my screen while we do these questions so we can kind of just go back and forth. Let me do that. This is a new one for me. We're trying this for the video editing so that we can have content of just you and I a little bit better
Nice.
versus having the slides up the whole time.
Yeah.
You know how it is. You know how it is.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the questions is, what's the point of asking if interest rates weren't an issue, would this meet your needs? What's the point in asking that? Because we kind of already know the answer, right?
Hmm.
So like, isn't it almost insulting in a way?
No, I wouldn't. Well, let me ask a better question. Let me ask that, respond to that with a question. What would make it insulting?
Asking a question we already know the answer to,
What's insulting about that?
making it seem like we're talking down to them, maybe?
Do you think delivery could change the way that would feel?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So maybe we address the filter that we asked that question through.
Mm, okay. Okay. So it's
Maybe
not the
it's,
question itself, but more about how we deliver it.
yeah. I mean, if I'm going to come from curiosity, like I'm trying to understand what they mean by that, just because I know the answer doesn't mean I know why they think that's their answer.
And this is actually a very sincere question that I ask because the thing is I actually do struggle with this of, and it must be my delivery, and I'm 100% okay with that because I can work on that. But I definitely know that sometimes I will ask questions and I do know the answer to that question, and they know that I know the answer to that question. And so it comes off as like patronizing or, right, like belittling. Why are you even asking that? You already know the answer. And so that's why this was actually a very sincere question. It's like, okay, the emphasis really must be on the tone, the inflections,
Mhm.
choice of words, of course, too, right? So is that really more about what we need to be mindful of? Is just really that delivery.
Yeah, the delivery. And then And like I said, the filter, like if I'm coming from curiosity, it's less about me knowing the right answer and me trying to understand why they know that answer.
Mm.
So I'm
Oh,
coming from
okay.
curiosity. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's fantastic. That's a great way of putting it. It's not about whether I know the answer, but more of understanding they know the answer,
Mhm.
right? And where they're at in their current reasoning, right?
Yeah, that's how you hold space.
This is perfect. There we go. All right. Okay, so next question then. How do you prevent the conversation from going in an endless loop? That's a big one that I was
Eventually you do have to make a statement.
okay. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously. And nobody would want to just talk to someone in a revolving of question, answer forever
Right.
either. They would not feel sincere in that conversation.
Right. Yeah, so like we have maybe three or four questions in that example I ended up on what is your experience in timing the market? So let's just like play that out for a second because I'll show you how I would bring it full circle. So like, okay, what is your experience with timing the market?
I mean, the last home I bought, we have good equity in it and got a pretty good deal.
Okay. Could it be possible that you wait longer and interest rates go up and you lose more money and we make a decision that would ultimately lead to the outcome you're afraid of right now?
I mean, yeah, I get. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's all possible. It's all possible.
What do you think we should do about that?
I'm not sure.
If you wait any longer to make this decision, what happens?
I haven't thought about this part of my story.
Make something up.
um, we miss out on the house that would really meet the needs of the family. The family's growing.
How fast are you trying to make that happen?
Listen, I need space, okay? I work from home. I need space, like
Okay.
now.
Would it help if we explored some financing options, or did we discuss some different strategies I have for negotiating that might help us with the interest rates, different buy downs, closing cost help, things that might ultimately lower that monthly payment so that you don't have to, risk potentially being wrong about waiting?
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you have things that could help with the payment, like making sure that payment's a bit lower, obviously that would be something I'd want to know more about for sure.
Okay, let's talk strategy. And so instead of waiting and potentially being even more wrong, because people who waited a year ago, here we are today.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's very possible. We do not have a crystal ball. So why don't we look at some other strategies and that way you can make a decision and we don't have to wait for you to get some space and then your family can grow a little bit more comfortably.
Perfect. I love
Yeah.
this.
Those were statement questions, by the way.
Yeah, I did notice it felt like or sounded like a question, but it felt like a statement,
Yeah.
right? That's how I was feeling because it felt like you were stating factual things in essence almost answering the question, but phrasing it as a question so that I was still part of the conversation versus totally being alienated,
Right.
being
Collaboration
cut
is
off.
critical. Mhm.
Yeah, that's super important.
That's how we get into that us against the problem dynamic versus the me against you dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely felt that too because again, you involved me in the conversation and I'm reflecting right now on my own conversations of going, okay, I can make a statement and phrases a question so that they know that I'm not shutting them down and that they're still part of the conversation. So that's a big deal. I really love that you did that because that's actually really eye-opening for me because I do know that I need to state things. So what happens is I usually start the conversation pretty strong with mirroring and labeling, and then I very quickly get to a place where then I revert to statements because I feel like, okay, at some point I have to say something. And so you
Hmm.
kind of just gave me that happy medium. Yes, you do have to say something. Here's how you say it
Yeah.
to where they still feel invited. And I do know that once I start my statements, and I hadn't figured out how to work through this. So thank you again. Like, I love this. Um, I hadn't figured out how to work through it. So I knew that the statements were still alienating them. I just didn't know what else to do. I'm not trying to cut them off. I just, guys, we can't keep going in circles here. So you revert to statements and then opposition. Now it's two sides conflicting versus two sides going in the same way together.
I just thought of a really easy anchor for this. Stop, collaborate, and listen from Vanilla Ice. That's actually great advice.
That's freaking awesome. I love that. I love that. All right, one last question, then we're gonna bring everybody back.
Yeah.
So, how do you know when someone is a lost cause? And I know you might not like those words, but it's more
Mhm.
of just who's listening can understand what we're trying to say is that not every person wants to cooperate. That is true. Or at the very least, let's put it a different way. Not everyone is ready to cooperate, and we still do run a business. We still have a finite amount of time. We have a
Mhm.
responsibility to be wise with our time. We
Mhm.
owe our clients and our other family, friends. You know what I'm saying? So like how do you know basically when to stop? Like what are the indicators? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. You've heard that saying, like when someone is willing to cut off their nose to spite their own face. You know when,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So like if someone is if their heels are dug in and they are not accepting the invitation for collaboration, then I can't force them there either. In fact, I'm probably doing more damage than good trying to elicit that out of them. And so if someone is giving me one word answers, their body language is reading, and maybe you don't get to be in person with them, but let's say you're at a consult, if they're turned away from me, if their arms are crossed, if their ears are in their shoulders, if they're, leaned back, if they're giving me body language and also like physical language that they're not going to budge anywhere, I now know that I'm losing them, and the further I go, the
Mm,
further away they're going to get.
that's powerful. So basically, and as long as we're doing our job, which is the listening part, right? That
Mhm.
big part of the listening, we should be able to start picking up on obvious signs and
Mhm.
maybe some subtle ones of resistance and to put it respectfully, I'm not ready for whatever
Right.
we're what you're offering, I'm not ready for. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that either. Because if they're just not, listen, I love using my marriage as an example because it's the peak of relationships that we have in life, right? It should be our marriage, right? My wife is often not ready immediately to resolve conflict.
Mhm.
She often needs something first. If I try to skip steps, even with the most noble and sincere heart, I always do more damage. Always. It always backfires
Mhm.
because I'm forcing someone to jump to a place that they're not ready to even walk to. They're
Mhm.
just not
Attempting to
there.
force.
Huh?
Attempting to force.
Yeah, yeah, attempting to force. You're right. Attempting to force. And when I've gotten her to cave in, guess what? No progress made.
Mhm.
Right? It was like what are they, like beaten into submission versus
Mhm. It's not true
willfully.
buy-in.
Right, right. Versus I'm bought into this. I believe in this. I want this to happen. And so like
Mhm.
that was one of the best things that changed in my marriage was just to turn around and say, okay, don't skip steps. Allow her to walk the way that she needs to walk as well. And we're gonna meet there
Right.
in that journey. We're still headed in the same direction. I just might be here, and I got to allow her to get there too. Right? It's a big thing. All right, welcome back, everybody. Drop in the chat. Tell me how was it? Um, give me some things that you took away from that role playing. That I'm really proud of you guys. By the way, I love it. I'm so proud of you guys for jumping into breakout rooms and just actually role playing and actually doing it. So tell me, drop in the chat. How was it? The good, the bad, the things you struggle with. Maybe something insightful that you learned. Um, just drop in the chat. I want to hear kind of what you went through and how your experience was. And for those who are watching right now, because we live stream this to many places and we get hundreds and hundreds of people that view this, you should come to the live calls so you can role play and have amazing people to do breakout rooms. Look at the comments right now and see we got Heidi saying made us really think. Used me as questions about timing the market. Ooh, powerful. I love that. That was one of the best questions, Mia, by the way. Well done. That was so powerful. Like,
Listen, if you guys read this book, you'll hear all of those things over and over again. The exactly what to say for real estate agents. They're just
okay, we got a
magic
great
word
book
questions.
recommendation, guys. Let's go. Bonnie says mirroring is great, but I need to get better at labeling. Yep. It's just you're gonna practice this and you will get better. And what's great is this applies to all relationships. All relationships. So you have people right now, Bonnie, that you can be practicing this with that are not your clients that will still help you sharpen and refine this skill set. So that's great. Carrie, more challenging than I expected. I know, right? Oh my gosh. It's like incredibly simple in theory, but it goes against so much of our nature, which is just to jump in and do the thing. Laura said the same thing. Challenging, fun, but not as easy as it seems. I know, man. Bonnie, we want to hear more from Mia. Don't you worry. Mia is one of my favorite people in the world. She brings so much value and like if it's not what's trendy, which she talks about, but it will take any strategy that you ever do and actually make it infinitely more successful. Because you can't cold call your way into people submitting to buying and selling their homes, right? You can't buy your way through Zillow leads, making people do this. If you skip the steps, it just won't work. It just won't work. And also, you won't feel good because you will miss the connection that all humans want. You'll miss out on actually learning about who the person is on the other side and what they do and what they feel. It adds a depth to our life that is just profound. So I'm really excited. Like you guys don't even know. I can't wait for the newsletter side of this. And Mia, we definitely have to do more together.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Bonnie,
I've got unlimited content.
you really do. Bonnie says I'm going to practice with my hubs. He gives me enough extras. You know what? Your spouse is one of the greatest practice partners you could ever ask for. So it's actually a great opportunity. And I hope you do practice this with your spouse because I promise you, you put this work in there, your marriage will get better. Not saying it'll solve all your problems. I'm just saying things will get better as far as from your side of things. So it's very powerful. You guys already shared some great takeaways. 20 years in. Oh, come on now. Let's go. And reminder, to keep this free, just click all the links, open the emails, goes out on Friday. It's such a blessing, and it helps me to keep all this free for you and keep bringing amazing people like Mia. All right, so now this is your growth opportunity for the week. Pull up your calendar right now, okay? Schedule 1 hour time block today or tomorrow. Don't procrastinate. Don't put this off, okay? And here's your goal. Write down at least 5 common objections and or barriers that your clients face or think they will face in their real estate journey. From interest rates to wanting to lowball on an offer, you know your client base, right? Best of all. So write down at least 5 common objections or barriers, okay? Practice, yes, practice, mirroring and labeling each one. So you write down those objections just by yourself first. Just get used to saying it out loud, to actually just going through the steps. You need to do that because otherwise in conversation, you'll totally forget. You'll go blank, right? So you're going to practice mirror and labeling each one. Then you're going to write at least 2 guiding questions for each of them. Okay, write the guiding questions. Use the interest rates that we did earlier. That's a great one, right? And then decide on your anchor. I know I did it a little bit in difference, but it makes sense to have the guiding questions right after as you're writing them. So practice it in your conversations with family and friends. Help it become a habit in your life. That's your goal for the week. That's it, guys. Super simple, right? And you guys are going to be perfect at this next week. No, it's going to be a struggle. You're going to learn a lot, but this is such a door that you want open. This is a door you want open because this door welcomes people into your life, into your experiences, and it makes them open their doors to you and welcome you inside and say, listen, I want more of you. Notice how you said you want more of Mia. Of course you do, right? Because you felt welcomed into Mia's existence. You felt that this would turn around and help you produce the results that you actually want in life. Because you're not going to get paid, right? Everyone wants to make money. You're not going to get paid if you skip these steps. Or if you do, it won't feel very good. As long as it'll work for her schedule, we'll definitely bring her back again. And make sure you share your results, guys, in the Facebook group. And we're gonna just jump in the newsletter. Mia was so nice and has an 8-page example and breakdown cheat sheet, so you're confident and ready that she's gonna be sharing with you guys. So that's a huge blessing. I checked it out myself. It is awesome. Okay, so it is so cool. I can't believe she's giving this to you guys. So, um, your chance to win a private one-on-one coaching session directly with Mia herself. So that's really exciting. That was super cool. Because guys, you don't even know, Mia's really busy. Like, so this is a really big blessing to have someone like her, the caliber of what she brings. Instant access to today's replays and slides, so you can come back and steal ideas whenever you need. And if you want, we'll put the book recommendation in the newsletter too. So for everybody watching that can't see the chat or whatever, we'll put it in there for you. That way you have a reference for it. And of course, the absolute worst mistakes that agents and LLs make with, oh, it says the marketing slide. I didn't edit this slide for you guys. Forgive me. But the common mistakes that you make when doing this, okay, and what to avoid. And we talked about them, some of them, but we'll get more into them. So the link is in the chat. Thank you for being here. We're 1 minute over. Mia, if you got to go, you go. Guys,
There
I'll
we
give
go.
you a
Thanks for
couple more
having me.
minutes. See you, Mia.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Trina, good stuff. I need to work on the barrier. I know, right? This stuff was really powerful. Like this stuff, I knew that we would have a lower attendance today because it's not like the sexy topic, if you will. Everybody wants to just talk about more leads, more leads, more leads. But then how many people are constantly saying how frustrated they are that their leads aren't converting, that their leads aren't getting their pre-approvals done, aren't submitting offers on homes that check all the boxes? And any of you guys relate to that? Come on now. You know you do, right? Right? You know you can relate to that. This is the actual solution. The solution is not more leads, right? The solution is actually working through the things that your leads and your clients need from you. So this is why I was so excited to do this, even though I knew it's not as sexy. Like we did an emotional intelligence one I've done before, which is extremely powerful. And it was with one of the top team leaders in the world, right? Who makes more in a month than everybody in this call today combined, right? So, but guess what? It was one of his lowest attendance. This guy has stages that he fills out, but he had one of the lowest attendance to it because people don't want to talk about those things, right? Ty, dude, I'm just glad you made it in. Glad you're here. And yes, we will be doing, if you subscribe to the newsletter, Mia, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Javel, is this your first time too, brother? You can't, yeah, you just type it in the chat. It's all muted because we have sometimes people try to jump in. I don't know if you guys know this. People try to jump into Zooms for whatever reason. I don't even know their goal and like take over and do super inappropriate things. Like, and believe it or not, some of you might have noticed earlier, I was a little bit distracted. Someone actually tried to do that on this call. Fortunately, we put some safeguards in there to prevent that, but they literally tried to do it on this call, and it was wild too. And almost fell for it. Like, yeah, it was crazy. I almost fell for it too. And then I was like, that's something's off here. Something's off here. All right, so yeah, make sure you subscribe. Drop the subscription in the chat again, Mia. Misa, Ty. So yeah, just go there, subscribe, and you are good to go. Nisha, thanks for being here too. Javel, if you're still here, drop in there. And guys, any last questions? I got 2 minutes, so I'm happy to give them to you. Any last questions or things you want to share? Let me know. Bonnie, I'm gonna unmute you. Go ahead.
So I wanted to ask you, being an expert,
Oh, you're
what are
super
some of the,
quiet. Is that me? Or is she quiet to
no,
you too?
somebody else
Carrie,
said
is she
that to
quiet
you.
too?
Can you hear me better? Better?
Barely.
Barely. Really? I have it up all the way up.
It might, you
Um,
must, that's weird. It might be that you're, for some reason, Zoom's using a different mic than it's
oh,
supposed to. That's
they've
usually what
changed
it is.
they've changed this whole system. I can't even use my earbuds. I don't know
Yeah, I
why.
can't even, I don't even know what you're
Um,
saying.
I was just gonna ask, like, what are some of your top objections you get that you
Oh,
hear?
yeah, for sure. So believe it or not, a lot of them I put in the beginning when I made that list of like in the early question. Yeah, so interest rates is one of the biggest ones. That's a very, very common one. And believe it or not, I got that even during COVID. Like even during COVID, people were like 4% interest rate. Like there were still people complaining about interest rates, like and not complaining. There were still people who didn't understand and hadn't reasoned through right? Interest rates at that time. So interest rates is one of them, right? Timing the market is another big one. Well, I think that the tariffs are going to work. I think that the uh, socioeconomics, oh, we're going to war, right? So, in other words, we're going to time the market based off of an outside source that we can't control. That's a very common one. Um, that's a big one. Another objection is housing prices falling. There are market corrections happening, right? And the media definitely leans into that, right? So if you go to somewhere like Florida, which has had some corrections on housing prices in certain parts, they'll turn around and what does the media do? In Florida, home prices are falling by 13%. Doom and gloom. And it's like, well, no. Like sometimes they live in cherry pick it. It'll be like a community that was overpriced. And then they'll try to make it. So definitely pricing one or housing prices falling. And I get that on both sides. So for buyers, I get them saying, we want to wait because housing prices are falling. And we're just, right? We're just going to turn around and yeah, I know, right? Turn off your TV. Seriously. Right. So we got buyers who are like, I'm just going to wait for the housing crash and then we're going to scoop up all the deals. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, let's be real. Right. And then on the listing side, they go, why would I list when housing prices are falling? Right. Like, I'm nervous. This is obviously a bad time. I need to wait till it stabilizes. Right. So, yeah, those are some of the common objections. And just you wait to what Mia put, what will be in the newsletter is going to be awesome. Like she did such a good job. I was blown away. I was like, dang, that's a great sheet that she put together. I'm really excited for you guys to have it. And I'm really proud of for you guys who showed up because again, I knew this would be a lower attendance call because I track the calls and I know every time we talk about the actual important stuff, that's when the least amount of people show up. They only want to talk about more leads, more leads. I'm like, yes, I like leads too, but come on, like, don't you want to convert those leads? Yeah. I'm glad, Bonnie. We try really, really hard. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll call it here. Go put this into practice. Tell me in the Agent Alliance Facebook group. I really want to see how it goes. I mean, even in your marriages, your kids, coworkers, whatever. I just want to hear about it. I really do. So thanks for being here. Have a blessed day and let's crush it. Bye.